The office was never meant to feel this quiet. Past midnight, the air inside the building was heavy, stale, as though the walls themselves were holding their breath. The sound of her typing was the only pulse in the room, a steady click-clack that echoed far too loudly in the stillness. She told herself she would stop at midnight. One more report, one more spreadsheet. But as the digital clock on her monitor flickered past 12:04 a.m., she was still there, bathed in the pale glow of her screen, her eyes burning. And then she saw it. A new notification, inbox 1 unread. Her eyes shifted lazily toward the corner of her screen, expecting some automated alert or company-wide memo. But when she read the sender's name, her heart nearly stopped. Daniel M. Her chair squeaked as she leaned forward, suddenly alert. Her brain tried to rationalize what her eyes were seeing. It couldn't be real. It couldn't possibly be real. Daniel had been gone for 6 years. His funeral had been closed casket. She remembered the grief that swept through the office, the whispered rumors about how sudden his death had been. She remembered the flowers, the black suits, the way everyone avoided saying the word suicide. And yet his name sat there on her screen, crisp, undeniable. She told herself it was some cruel prank. Someone had hacked into the system, spoofed the address. She hovered her cursor over it, hesitation knotting her stomach before clicking. The subject line was empty. The body of the message contained only one sentence. "They're watching you. Don't trust the ones above." Her breath hitched. The words were sharp, direct, too precise to be random spam. She sat frozen, the glow of the screen painting her face pale. The air conditioning clicked off, and the sudden silence made her heartbeat thunder in her ears. She minimized the window, but the words lingered, stamped into her mind. She told herself to leave, pack up, get out, and pretend she had never seen it. But she couldn't. Some invisible tether held her in place. Her eyes locked on the screen. And then it came again, inbox 1 unread. Her hand shook as she opened it. Another message, same sender, this time attachments. Her finger hovered over the mouse. Every instinct screamed not to click, not to invite whatever this was deeper into her world. But curiosity had teeth. It bit down hard. The files opened. Her pulse faltered. They were internal documents, company reports marked confidential, spreadsheets of hidden payments, contracts tied to foreign accounts, signatures she had never been authorized to see, and the names of people she passed every day in the hallway. These weren't fakes. She could feel it in her bones. The details were too specific, the format too familiar. Whoever had sent this wasn't making a point. They were showing her the truth. Her hand rose to her mouth, fingers trembling. And then she saw it. The last line of the email, italicized at the bottom, as if whispered directly into her ear. "You're next if you stay silent." The words struck her like a blade. Her body locked in place, blood rushing to her ears. She slammed the laptop shut, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the empty office. For a moment she stood there, chest heaving, the silence pressing in on her. The shadows in the corners seemed darker now, shifting, as though something had stirred awake with the closing of that lid. Her phone buzzed. She jumped. The screen lit up, Gmail notification. Her hand shook as she picked it up. Another email, same sender, no subject. She opened it with a thumb that barely obeyed her. The text inside was simple, horrifyingly casual. "Did you get my warning?" Her throat dried. She typed nothing. Her thumb hovered, frozen above the screen, and then, without her touching a single key, the cursor in the reply box began to move. Letters appeared one by one, forming words she hadn't written. "Don't ignore me." The phone slipped from her hand and hit the desk with a dull thud. She staggered back, chair wheels screeching against the floor. The room was wrong now. Too quiet, too heavy, as if the air itself had changed density. Her laptop chimed. The lid was still closed. And yet, the glow of the screen spilled faintly through the seam. She didn't want to look. She didn't want to know. But fear forced her forward. She opened the laptop with trembling hands. Another message waited. But this one was different. No sender, no timestamp, no trace of origin. The inbox itself looked blank, stripped of its usual borders, as though she had fallen into some hidden layer of the digital world. On the empty white screen, a single line appeared. "This is only the beginning." She gasped and reached for the power button. Her finger jammed it down. The screen went black. Relief surged in her chest, brief, fragile, until the monitor flashed back to life. The background was gone. No inbox, no folders. Just a black void, and white words typing themselves across the center of the screen. You can't turn me off. Her pulse crashed in her ears. Every hair on her arms stood on end. And then, the office lights flickered once, then twice. And in the reflection of her darkened screen, she swore she saw someone standing behind her. She didn't breathe for a long time. The reflection on the dark screen was faint, just a blur, but it was enough to root her in place. She whipped her head around. The office was empty. Desks sat like tombstones in neat little rows, monitors off, chairs turned in. Not a sound stirred. But her pulse wouldn't slow. Her eyes crept back toward the laptop. Another notification blinked. Another message. Her trembling hand reached for the trackpad. The subject line was blank, the sender still Daniel. She forced herself to open it, though every nerve screamed not to. This one was longer. It spoke of meetings behind closed doors, deals signed in ink that would never see daylight. The tone was colder this time, sharper, like someone was losing patience. At the bottom was a new line. Don't go into the east stairwell tomorrow. Her brows furrowed. The warning made no sense. Why the stairwell? Why tomorrow? Her first instinct was to dismiss it as nonsense, a detail thrown in to rattle her. But something about the way the words were arranged, the deliberate simplicity, made her chest tighten. She tried to laugh it off, whispering to herself in the empty room. It's a prank. It has to be. But she didn't sleep that night. By the next morning, exhaustion clung to her like a weight. The office buzzed with life again. Co-workers chatting, printers whirring, footsteps echoing down polished floors. She clung to normalcy, trying to convince herself none of it had happened. Until the sirens wailed. She was at her desk when the noise tore through the building. An ambulance outside. Security rushing toward the east stairwell. A crowd gathered, whispers spreading like fire. She forced her way forward, heart hammering. There, on the landing, paramedics crouched over a figure. Blood streaked the steps. An accident, someone muttered. A fall, broken bones. Maybe worse. Her vision blurred. Her body went cold. The stairwell. She staggered back, the words of the email repeating in her skull. Don't go into the east stairwell tomorrow. It hadn't been nonsense. It had been a warning. The ground seemed to tilt beneath her. She tried to focus, tried to breathe, but her phone buzzed in her pocket. Another message. She didn't want to look, not here, not in the middle of chaos. But compulsion dragged her thumb across the screen. The email was short, brutal in its timing. I told you so. Her knees nearly buckled. All day the office noise drowned in her ears, replaced only by the phantom echo of Daniel's words. She kept catching glimpses of her colleagues. Sideways looks, brief smirks, hushed conversations. Were they part of this? Did they know? By the time night came again, she was unraveling. She stayed late once more, afraid to leave, afraid to stay. The emails had become a tether, terrifying, but impossible to ignore. The clock ticked past midnight. Her inbox pinged. The new message opened itself before she even touched the keyboard. No subject, no sender again. This time it wasn't a warning. It was a question. Do you believe me now? Her breath shook. She wanted to scream at the screen, to demand answers, to beg for this nightmare to end. Instead, her hands moved almost without her, typing into the reply box. Who are you really? She hit send. Her heart drummed so loudly she thought it might burst. The office was silent, still, every shadow stretched long and waiting. She stared at the screen, waiting for nothing, expecting nothing. But less than 30 seconds later, her inbox chimed. A reply had already arrived. The message was just 3 words. 3 words that made her blood run to ice. Look behind you. Her lungs seized. She turned, slow, shaking, desperate for it to be empty. The office was silent. Every desk sat still. Every shadow clung to its corner. But something in the air had changed. And for the first time, she realized, these weren't just emails. They were eyes. Watching. She couldn't shake the feeling of eyes, pressing against her skin. Every sound in the office seemed sharper now, the shuffle of shoes. Down the hallway, the soft ding of an elevator, the muted chatter drifting from cubicles. Each one made her flinch. But what haunted her most wasn't the noise. It was the silence in between. That silence had teeth. She avoided the stairwell the next day, her steps light and fast toward the elevators. Every time the doors opened, she scanned the reflections in their steel walls, waiting for something, someone that wasn't supposed to be there. Her inbox stayed empty until lunch. For a few hours, she convinced herself maybe it was over. Maybe she had imagined it all. But when her phone buzzed, her heart knew before her eyes even saw the screen. Another message, same void sender. This one was longer. It listed names, dozens of them. Executives, managers, department heads, people she had worked under, smiled at, exchanged polite small talk with. Every name carried a note, amounts of money, project codes, hush-hush meetings. Her fingers gripped the phone tighter. The names weren't strangers, they were her world. And in the middle of the list was one that made her blood run cold. Her own manager. She set the phone face down, but the words were carved into her mind. The same man who told her to keep her head down, who signed her performance reviews with an easy grin, who asked about her weekend plans. He was in it, deep in it. She couldn't stop reading, couldn't stop scrolling. Each new name, each number, was another cut across the thin skin of her reality. By the end, she wasn't sure if she was holding the phone or if it was holding her. At the bottom, one last line waited. You can't trust anyone beside you. Her throat tightened. She set the phone down as if it were poisonous. Around her, coworkers laughed, chatted, shuffled papers. Every face looked different now, like masks pulled tight, hiding the rot beneath. That night, she stayed again. Not because of work this time, but because she couldn't face her empty apartment. Somehow the haunted office felt safer than being alone with her thoughts. Her inbox chimed at 12:16, and she already knew the sound by heart. The message opened itself. They'll try to silence you the same way they silenced me. She froze, fingers suspended over the keys. Daniel's death, sudden, unexplained, brushed off as personal. She had never questioned it before, but now, she whispered into the empty office. What happened to you? Another chime. A new reply. They killed me. Her body went rigid. The glow of the monitor seemed colder now, harsher, making the shadows longer, darker. Footsteps echoed in the hall. She jolted upright, eyes darting to the doorway. Someone was there or had been. The sound was gone as quickly as it came. Heart pounding, she reached for the security app on her desktop. The building's cameras were accessible to employees after hours. She opened the feed, scanning through grainy footage of silent halls, empty stairwells, and deserted conference rooms. But when she clicked to cycle through the angles, the screen glitched. Static ripped across the feed, freezing for a split second long enough to show someone standing at the very end of her hallway, someone facing her office door. She gasped and whipped her head toward the entrance. Nothing. The hall outside was empty. She turned back to the screen. The figure was gone. Her inbox chimed. The message was already waiting. I told you. They're here. Her pulse rattled in her ears as the screen returned to normal. The mysterious figure gone from the feed. She shut the camera app, but the ghost of that shadow lingered in her mind. Someone had been there. Someone who knew she was watching. She told herself she needed proof. Something solid, something she could hold in her hands, instead of flickering pixels and ghostly words on a screen. So she went digging. The company archives were buried in a restricted database, files long locked away, only accessible through layers of clearance. But she knew her way around the system. After years of late nights and rushed projects, she had learned shortcuts, backdoors, fragments of passwords left behind like breadcrumbs. It took hours, but eventually doors began to open. The archives were a graveyard of forgotten projects, budgets that didn't add up, employee files with redacted notes, reports marked, internal, do not distribute. Each click took her deeper, each document peeling back a layer she wasn't meant to see. And then she found Daniel's file. Her hand hovered over the mouse before she clicked. She hadn't wanted to look, hadn't wanted to taint her memory of him. But curiosity had become a knife twisting in her chest. The file was brief. Too brief. Cause of death, accidental overdose. A single paragraph, clinical and cold, as though a life could be reduced to a few lines. But something was wrong. Dates didn't align. The report was signed by someone in HR, who hadn't joined the company until 2 years after Daniel's death. Her heart pounded. The record had been forged. She scrolled lower and found attachments. Incident reports tied to other employees, who had resigned suddenly, moved away, or passed unexpectedly. Patterns formed, ugly and undeniable. Too many people. Too many silences. They hadn't just erased Daniel. They had erased anyone who knew too much. Her laptop chimed. She didn't even jump this time. She almost expected it. The new email waited with sharp inevitability. They made me disappear. They'll do the same to you. Her breath shook. She typed back, desperate, her fingers trembling. Why me? Why send this to me? The reply came instantly. Because you're the last one who can stop them. Her chest tightened, torn between terror and a strange, horrible weight of responsibility. She wanted to slam the laptop shut, to hurl it across the room and walk away from the nightmare, but she couldn't. The words clung to her heavier than chains. The screen dimmed slightly, and another message appeared before her inbox could even refresh. They'll use your fear against you. Her phone buzzed on the desk. She glanced down. A text message this time. Her manager's name glowing on the screen. Need to meet. East stairwell, urgent! Her blood turned to ice. She stared at the words until they blurred, her mind spinning. The stairwell. Again. That cursed stairwell. And as her pulse began to hammer in her ears, another email appeared on her laptop. No subject, no sender. Just a single devastating warning. If you go, you won't come back. The text from her manager burned on her phone screen. Its glow far too bright in the dim office. Meet me. East stairwell, urgent. Her instincts screamed louder than reason. Every warning from the phantom emails echoed in her skull. She could see it playing out. The stairwell. The silence. The same fate as Daniel. She set the phone down slowly, as if the act itself was dangerous. She typed no reply. She didn't move for several minutes, afraid that even the air might betray her. Another email arrived. Good. You chose to live. Her chest tightened. Somehow whoever was behind this, ghost or hacker, living or dead, they knew she hadn't gone. They were watching in real time. She couldn't stay in the office. Not tonight, not with every shadow feeling like an open mouth ready to swallow her whole. So she packed her things, forced herself to walk through the empty corridors, and stepped into the night air. Home was no safer. The silence there pressed just as heavy, the walls too thin, the dark corners too deep. She sat on the couch with her laptop open, not because she wanted to, but because she couldn't resist. The emails had become a thread pulling her forward, and she was tangled in it now. At 12:03 a.m., the screen blinked. Another message appeared. This one was different. There were no words in the body. Just an attachment, a single image file. Her hand hovered above the trackpad, her entire body screaming, "Don't look." But she clicked anyway. The photo filled the screen. It was her, sitting at her desk in the office. Taken tonight. The angle was from behind her shoulder, the glow of the monitor lighting her face. She hadn't seen anyone in the office, hadn't heard a single click of a camera. Yet the timestamp in the corner showed the photo had been taken, just seconds before the email arrived. Her blood turned cold. Her skin prickled as if invisible fingers brushed her neck. She slammed the laptop shut, but the image burned behind her eyelids, sharp and unrelenting. Her phone buzzed. A new email notification. Her hands shook as she opened it. The sender was still Daniel. But the address, her eyes widened. The address wasn't his anymore. It was hers. The email had been sent from her own account. She scrolled down, desperate, her heart crashing in her chest. The message contained only a single line. You can't run from yourself. Her stomach lurched. She grabbed the phone, checked her sent folder. The email was there, stamped logged sent from her account to herself. She whispered, No, that's not possible. Another email appeared before she could process it. No subject, no sender again. They're inside your devices. Inside your walls. They know every secret you keep. Her breath broke. She dropped the phone onto the couch cushions, backing away as though the device itself might bite. The room felt smaller now, suffocating, the walls closing in. And then, the laptop screen glowed from where she had left it closed. A pale light seeped from the seam. She didn't want to open it. Every instinct begged her not to. But something deeper pulled her forward. The inbox glared back at her. A new message had arrived. This one had no words, no photo. Just a video file waiting to be played. Her finger hovered above the touchpad, trembling. And as the silence stretched, she realized something chilling. The subject line of the email wasn't blank this time. It contained 3 words. Do you remember? Her finger lingered over the trackpad. That subject line, do you remember? Was a question that felt like a knife. The video waited. She told herself not to click it. That if she played it, she would cross a line she couldn't come back from. But her body betrayed her. The hunger for truth was stronger than fear. The file opened. Static first, harsh and violent. Then an image began to form. Grainy, dark, a room. An office she recognized. The conference room on the 12th floor. She had been in there 100 times before. But this wasn't any meeting she remembered. In the flickering footage, men in suits sat around the table. Papers slid across the glossy surface. Words exchanged in muffled tones. And then her heart froze. There she was. Herself, sitting among them. Her hair shorter, her clothes different, but it was unmistakably her face. She sat silently, head bowed, while one of the men spoke. The camera angle caught her perfectly, as if placed to capture her alone. She whispered, That can't be me. I wasn't there. I wasn't—" Her words crumbled, because on the screen, she nodded, picked up a pen, and signed a document. The video ended abruptly. Her inbox refreshed itself. A new email. Do you see now? She couldn't breathe. Her hands shook as she typed furiously, desperation spilling out. That's not real. I wasn't there. I never signed anything. The reply came instantly. You signed the first erasure. You helped bury Daniel. Her stomach lurched as if the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. No, she whispered aloud, shaking her head violently. That's a lie. But the screen was merciless. Another attachment arrived, a scanned PDF. Her blood drained as she clicked it open. It was a contract, company letterhead, her signature at the bottom. The document authorized the termination of Project Meridian and the removal of 3 employees for security reasons. Daniel's name was on the list. Her eyes blurred, the letters swimming. She slammed the laptop shut, heart racing, bile rising in her throat. How could her signature be there? She had no memory of this. No memory of signing anything, of sitting in that meeting, of agreeing to anyone's destruction. Her phone buzzed again, relentless. Another email notification. You don't remember what you did, but I do. Her entire body went numb, because for the first time, the emails weren't just warning her. They were accusing her. She sat frozen in the half-light of her apartment, the laptop shut, her phone buzzing like a heartbeat she couldn't silence. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. You don't remember what you did, but I do. Her hands trembled as she pressed them to her temples. No, it wasn't possible. She hadn't signed anything. She hadn't been in that meeting. She couldn't have been. And yet, her signature was there. Clear. Perfect. Impossible to deny. Her mind scrambled back through years of late nights, projects blurred together, endless contracts shoved under her nose in conference rooms, where she had signed without reading. Had there been one? Could it have slipped past her unnoticed? Or worse, had she known and simply buried it? Her stomach twisted. A memory tried to surface. Flashes of Daniel's smile, his quiet warnings about company secrets, a whispered conversation in the hallway, and then darkness, a blank space where something should have been. Her phone chimed again. Another email. The truth is buried inside you. Let me show you. Her breath came shallow. She typed with trembling fingers. Who are you? What do you want from me? The reply was mercilessly fast. I want you to remember. A new attachment arrived. Not a video this time, not a PDF. A set of coordinates. Latitude and longitude. She copied them into a map. Her heart lurched when the location zoomed in. It wasn't far. An abandoned company storage site on the outskirts of the city. One she vaguely remembered hearing about years ago. Her body screamed to delete the email, to ignore it, to crawl into bed and let the world collapse without her. But the pull was too strong. Answers waited there, maybe even absolution. Her reflection in the darkened window looked back at her. Pale, uncertain, haunted. She whispered to it, If I go, I'll know. If I don't, I'll never escape this. The phone buzzed again. Go tonight. Bring nothing. Trust no one. Her chest clenched. It felt less like advice, more like an order. And yet she was already slipping on her coat, keys trembling in her hand. But just as she reached the door, another email chimed. The subject line made her blood run cold. You've been here before? She froze, staring at the words. Before? Her pulse hammered. She typed back quickly. No, I've never been there. The reply cut through the silence like a blade. Then why do I remember you standing in that room, watching me die? The city streets blurred past as she drove, each traffic light a drumbeat counting down to something she couldn't name. The coordinates burned in her phone like a brand, pulling her toward the edge of the city where the buildings thinned into silence. The storage site loomed ahead, a forgotten facility of concrete and rust. Its windows were black, its gates chained, its silence heavier than any night should hold. She killed the engine. The air was thick, damp, electric with the storm building overhead. For a moment she sat in the car, staring at the looming structure, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might tear free. Her phone buzzed. Another email. Inside, you'll find what they made you forget. The chain on the gate was broken, hanging loose as if waiting for her. She slipped through, every step crunching on gravel loud enough to echo. Inside, the hall smelled of dust and metal. Her flashlight beam trembled against walls covered in peeling paint and old safety posters. The silence pressed in like a weight. Then she saw it. A door at the end of the corridor. Not locked, just waiting. Her hand hovered on the knob, slick with sweat. She pushed it open. The room was small, barren. A single table sat in the center. On it, a folder. Her breath caught. She stepped closer, each movement slow, as though the floor might collapse beneath her. She opened the folder. Inside were photographs. Daniel, alive, smiling, standing with her in the office hallway. Another showed him at his desk, scribbling notes. And then one more. Daniel slumped over a table in this very room. His skin pale, his eyes closed, and standing in the corner of the photo was her. Her knees buckled. She staggered back, bile rising in her throat. No, she whispered. That's not real, that's not... Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Another email. It wasn't an accident. They made me disappear, and you watched. Tears blurred her vision. She clutched the phone, shaking her head violently. I didn't. I swear I didn't. But her memory cracked open like glass. Flashes of that night surged back. The meeting, the documents, the order to escort Daniel here, her voice saying nothing, doing nothing, as men in suits handled the rest. She had stood there, silent, complicit. The email tone chimed again. She forced her eyes to the screen. You helped bury me. Now I bury you in truth. Her phone camera flickered on by itself. The screen filled with her reflection. But the face staring back wasn't hers. Daniel's face stared from the glass. His lips moved, but no sound came. Then the phone went black. The storm outside broke. Thunder cracked the air, rattling the walls. She dropped to her knees, the folder slipping from her hands. Photographs scattering across the floor like confessions. Another email appeared on the laptop she hadn't opened. Still sitting on the table. The screen glowed with a final message. Now everyone will know. Her phone buzzed again, endlessly, as if the world itself was dialing her number. She didn't pick it up. She couldn't. Because deep inside, she already knew what it would say. The last secret was no longer hers, and the reckoning had already begun. This is Karma Unfolded, where every secret finds its reckoning. Don't forget to subscribe.